The roar of an audience is like a tidal wave. It rises, surges, and crashes over everything else, leaving a lingering echo long after it has passed. For decades, Elton John lived inside that roar, immersed in the energy of stadiums, concert halls, and the adoration of millions of fans. The sequined suits, oversized glasses, and grand pianos that seemed to erupt with sound and color became iconic elements of his artistry. To the outside world, every concert was a celebration of music, flamboyance, and pure joy, a spectacle that captured imagination across generations. Yet behind the curtain, when the applause faded and the lights dimmed, there existed a quieter, more intimate story. Elton John, now 78, carries the weight of a lifetime of triumphs, personal challenges, and profound growth. The public victories that dazzled millions often concealed a private journey marked by reflection, resilience, and the search for identity. From pioneer to stardom, it is tempting to see Elton John's life as a fairy tale. A boy from Pinner, Middlesex, born Reginald Kenneth Dwight, who transformed into one of the most celebrated and flamboyant performers in the history of popular music. He has sold over 300 million records, performed in sold-out arenas worldwide, earned countless awards, and become a cultural icon whose songs defined eras. Yet behind every glittering stage and triumphant note is a story of perseverance, of a child yearning for recognition and love in a world that often felt indifferent. Each standing ovation masked the echoes of a boy who, at the piano, sought solace, companionship, and a way to express feelings that were otherwise unspoken. His journey from the quiet streets of Pinner to global superstardom is as much about resilience and self-discovery as it is about fame. Childhood shadows. Before the sequins and spotlights, there was Reginald Dwight, a quiet, thoughtful boy growing up in a modest home just outside London. His father, Stanley Dwight, a Royal Air Force officer, was disciplined and often distant, emphasizing order and responsibility above emotional warmth. Praise was rare, affection even rarer. His mother, Sheila, offered care that could feel unpredictable, sometimes encouraging, sometimes critical. In this environment, young Reginald learned early that love and recognition were conditional, that he had to find ways to nurture himself. The piano became his sanctuary. Every note, every melody was a refuge from the challenges of home life and a space where he could craft a world entirely his own. Music became both a lifeline and a mirror, reflecting his inner world while providing a path toward expression and understanding. The first steps of a dream. From a remarkably young age, Reginald's musical gifts were evident. By the age of 3, he could play melodies by ear, displaying a precocious talent that hinted at future greatness. At 11, he earned a scholarship to the Royal Academy of Music, a recognition that could have been purely celebratory, but instead underscored his sense of difference. Surrounded by talented peers and knowledgeable mentors, he still felt like an outsider, acutely aware of his own insecurities and the lingering voice of parental expectations. Music remained his sanctuary, a place of expression, exploration, and growth, but also a constant reminder of both his potential and the emotional gaps he longed to fill. It was here, amid piano lessons and early performances, that the foundation of Elton John's resilience and artistic ambition began to take shape. Building a persona. As a child, Reginald often felt overlooked, misunderstood, and even invisible. The experience would later inspire the flamboyant stage persona of Elton John. The glittering costumes of sari, oversized glasses, and extravagant performances were never just stylistic choices. They were a protective armor, a way to ensure that he would never be ignored again. Adopting the name Elton John, drawn from a saxophonist he admired and a friend named Long John Baldry, marked the transformation from shy, insecure Reginald into the confident, radiant performer the world would come to know. Yet behind the glamour and showmanship remained the boy who longed for unconditional love, a young man whose early life had taught him that admiration was hard-won and fleeting. The persona allowed him to navigate the pressures of fame while also creating a space in which he could feel seen and celebrated. Finding his voice. The late 1960s in Britain were a time of musical exploration and revolution, an era that provided fertile ground for a young artist searching for his place. Elton joined the band Bluesology as a teenager, performing in pubs and clubs to audiences that were often indifferent or distracted. These early performances were more than just shows. They were declarations of existence. Each melody played, each note struck, was a claim to a space in a world that had not always made room for him. Yet, even as his talent became undeniable, self-doubt remained a quiet companion, reminding him that recognition, love, and belonging were not guaranteed. Music became a tool not only for expression, but also for assertion, proof of his worth and a bridge to the life he hoped to create. The partnership Chakrathi Kurtanshi Wari Aninst I O say I E Kore Y Wari. During this formative period, Elton met Bernie Taupin, a lyricist whose words would become inseparable from Elton's music. Their collaboration was nothing short of magical, a creative pairing that would define generations of music. Bernie's lyrics articulated feelings Elton had struggled to express, while Elton's melodies brought those words to life, transforming personal reflection into universal connection. Songs like Your Chi, Your Song, Tiny Dancer, and Border Song were more than commercial hits. They were confessions, snapshots of a young man grappling with identity, emotion, and aspiration. Together, they forged a musical partnership that elevated Elton from a talented performer to a timeless artist, blending technical skill, emotional depth, and lyrical intimacy. The ascendancy of a superstar. By the early 1970s, Elton John had become a global sensation. Albums like Hong Ki Chateau and Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road cemented his position as one of the world's leading artists. Concerts became spectacular events, blending music, theatrics, and showmanship in ways that redefined live performance. He sold out Madison Square Garden, toured relentlessly, and became a household name almost overnight. Yet the very success that seemed liberating also introduced new pressures. The world adored Elton John, the performer. But private moments often carried reminders of earlier insecurities. Fame amplified the boyhood longing for acceptance, and the chasm between Reginald Dwight and Elton John, the icon, became a constant balancing act. Struggles behind the spotlight. Behind the glittering exterior of superstardom, Elton faced personal challenges that were often hidden from public view. For much of his career, he navigated the pressures of fame while also contending with personal habits and coping mechanisms developed to manage stress and insecurity. The intense demands of touring, recording, and public appearances could be isolating, even for a man surrounded by admiration. Elton's journey illustrates the duality of a life in the public eye, the brilliance, celebration, and achievement visible to all, and the private work of maintaining emotional and physical equilibrium under extraordinary pressure. The Mount Warrior, the Man War, the Man Hero. Man Elton John's flamboyant costumes, feather boas, and oversized glasses were never merely aesthetic choices. They were shields. The persona he created allowed him to be seen, celebrated, and loved by millions, while also concealing the vulnerabilities of the boy who had once felt invisible. This duality, the dazzling performer and the reflective private man, became central to his life and art. The world revered Elton John for his energy and charisma. But beneath the sequins was a person navigating insecurities, longing, and the need for self-expression in a demanding environment. The cost of fame. While fame brought freedom, recognition, and the ability to influence millions, it also carried an unrelenting demand for more. Tours, albums, and public appearances created cycles of expectation that were physically and emotionally taxing. Every show, every audience, every note played was weighed with decades of striving for acceptance. Even now, at 78, Elton reflects on a life of extraordinary accomplishments, alongside the realization that recognition does not erase past loneliness. Triumphs do not heal old wounds entirely. They coexist with the continuing presence of the child who once sat at a piano seeking connection, affirmation, and understanding. Personal life and redemption. Later in life, Elton found stability, love, and fulfillment in his relationship with David Furnish and through his work in philanthropy and activism. These aspects of life provided a grounding presence, offering purpose beyond performance and fame. Yet the echoes of childhood experience and the intensity of a demanding career remained, subtly influencing his choices and creative output. Love, partnership, and service to others became ways to transform past pain into connection and to channel his energy into projects that reflected not only artistic brilliance but human empathy and generosity, the human behind the legend. On stage, audiences see a carefully curated persona, a confident, magnetic performer whose music and presence captivate millions. What often goes unseen are the long hours of practice, private doubts, moments of reflection, and emotional labor that sustain that brilliance. Elton John's story is as much about perseverance, adaptation, and personal growth as it is about fame or talent. His life reminds us that genius is entwined with vulnerability, and that the human spirit, resilient, creative, and yearning for connection, drives the art we admire. Triumphs intertwined with challenges. From sold-out arenas to Grammy wins, Elton's career has been marked by extraordinary achievement. Yet each success was accompanied by private challenges, including health considerations, personal struggles, and the ongoing work of navigating fame. Recognizing these aspects deepens our understanding of his journey. It is not only a story of musical brilliance, but also one of endurance, courage, and the determination to remain authentic despite the pressures of an extraordinary life. Each performance, every song, reflects the combined weight of talent, dedication, and the human experience behind the public persona. Music as lifeline. Throughout his life, music has been both a calling and a refuge. From childhood to global superstardom, the piano remained a constant companion, a way to express joy, longing, resilience, and vulnerability. Elton's compositions and performances bridge the gap between the shy, reflective boy he once was and the confident, larger-than-life performer adored by audiences worldwide. Each note played, each melody written, carries the depth of lived experience, offering listeners not only artistry but also glimpses into the journey of a man who transformed private reflection into universally resonant music. The legacy. Elton John's life is a testament to the complexity and richness of genius. The spectacle second krause scenes, I can centra samson puspan are only part of the story. Beneath the glitter lies a journey of resilience, courage, and creativity, shaped by childhood challenges, relentless ambition, and a continual search for meaning. At 78, he can reflect on decades of achievement with a deeper understanding of the interplay between personal growth and public recognition. His music, philanthropy, and presence in the world reflect a life dedicated to both artistry and humanity, showing how personal struggles can transform into enduring legacy. Conclusion. The story of Elton John is inseparable from both triumph and challenge. The audience may see the icon, the performer, the cultural force, but the deeper narrative is that of a boy from Pinner who discovered that music could express what words could not. It is a story of resilience, creativity, and the enduring human spirit, the capacity to transform adversity into beauty, longing into melody, and personal reflection into universal connection. Elton John stands not only as a musical legend, but as a living example of how vulnerability, determination, and authenticity can produce brilliance, connection, and lasting influence. His life reminds us that behind every extraordinary talent is a deeply human story, one that continues to inspire and resonate